If you wanted to build automobiles in 1844 Germany, being born into poverty was probably the worst possible start. Yet, in a small German workshop, a locomotive driver's son who often went to bed hungry would create the world's first car company. And fast forward to today, Mercedes-Benz is a $135 billion automotive giant, selling over 2.5 million vehicles annually across 170 countries, with the most expensive car ever sold, a 1955 Mercedes 300 SLR that went for $142 million. Throughout their history, they've weathered devastating wars, economic collapse, and a dark period of Nazi control, transforming from a humble bicycle repair shop into the company that would define automotive luxury for over a century. This is the story of how one man's dream of a horseless carriage revolutionized transportation forever. Carl Benz's story begins in 1844, an era when horses ruled the streets and the concept of automobiles was pure fantasy. Born to a locomotive driver earning just 4 Deutsche Marks per week, equivalent to about $40 today, Benz's childhood was marked by tragedy when his father died of pneumonia just 2 years later, leaving his family in dire poverty. But his mother's determination would change history. Working as a maid and sacrificing her own meals, she invested every spare penny in her son's education, a decision that would later revolutionize transportation. By age 15, Benz was already showing extraordinary talent, scoring in the top 5% of mechanical engineering students at the prestigious University of Karlsruhe in 1860. Under the mentorship of Ferdinand Rettenbacher, known as the father of mechanical engineering, Benz became obsessed with a radical idea: creating a vehicle that could move without horses. While others laughed, calling it devil's work, Benz filed his first engine patent in 1879, a crucial stepping stone to his ultimate goal. His breakthrough 2-stroke engine design would later become the foundation for billions of vehicles worldwide. 1882 marked a bitter lesson when investors pushed him out of his first company, leaving him with just 5% ownership. But this setback would fuel his greatest comeback, the creation of Benz & Company in 1883, where his dream of the automobile would finally come to life. "1885 marked a turning point in human history, though few realized it at the time. In a modest workshop in Mannheim, Benz unveiled his Patent-Motorwagen, a 3-wheeled vehicle powered by a single-cylinder 0.75 horsepower engine. Built for 2,000 marks, $13,000 in today's money, this strange contraption could reach a blistering speed of 7 miles per hour, barely faster than a quick jog. Public reaction was brutal. Religious leaders called it Satan's carriage, while newspapers warned it might explode at any moment. Local authorities forced Benz to run his vehicle only at dawn when streets were empty. Even his business partners thought he was wasting time. After all, who would buy a noisy, expensive machine that spooked horses and frequently broke down? Everything changed in August 1888, when Bertha Benz, Carl's wife, made history's first long-distance car journey. Without telling her husband, she drove 66 miles from Mannheim to Pforzheim with their 2 teenage sons. The journey took 12 hours, required multiple repairs, and she had to use her garter to fix a broken ignition wire. She even invented brake pads on the spot, asking a cobbler to nail leather onto the brake blocks. This publicity stunt worked brilliantly. By 1893, Benz was producing the Benz Victoria, and his company became the world's first mass-production car manufacturer, selling 1,200 units annually, unheard of at the time. The dawn of the 20th century brought Benz his first real competitor, Gottlieb Daimler. While Benz focused on reliability, Daimler chased speed. In 1901, Daimler created the Mercedes 35 horsepower, named after customer Emil Jelinek's daughter, Mercedes. This wasn't just another car. It revolutionized automotive design with features we still use today: a flat chassis, longer wheelbase, and pressed steel frame. The rivalry sparked an innovation race. Daimler's cars were breaking speed records, hitting 56 miles per hour, while Benz's vehicles topped out at 35 miles per hour. The competition was costing both companies fortune. By 1900, Daimler had invested 4 million marks, about $26 million today, in development, nearly bankrupting themselves. Benz, who preferred safe and reliable over fast and furious, initially refused to build race cars, but market pressure forced his hand. And in 1909, his company created the Blitzen Benz, a 200 horsepower monster that shattered world records by reaching 142 miles per hour. To put this in perspective, the fastest trains of the era could only manage 100 miles per hour. The competition between these German giants might have continued indefinitely, but World War I changed everything. By 1924, with Germany's economy in shambles and inflation skyrocketing, a loaf of bread cost 200 billion marks. The rivals realized they needed each other to survive. The 1926 merger created Daimler-Benz AG, but the timing couldn't have been worse. The Great Depression hit in 1929, the same year Carl Benz passed away at age 84. By 1931, Mercedes-Benz's annual production had plummeted to just 1,884 cars, down from 7,918 in 1927. The company was on the brink of collapse. Then came Hitler's rise to power in 1933. The Nazi Party saw Mercedes-Benz as a symbol of German engineering superiority and poured money into the company. Between 1934 to 1939, with government subsidies of 500,000 Reichsmarks per year, roughly $32 million today, Mercedes dominated international racing, winning 64% of all Grand Prix races they entered. But this success came at a horrific cost. By 1944, nearly half of Mercedes-Benz's 63,000 workers were forced laborers, prisoners of war and concentration camp inmates, working under brutal conditions. The company's factories churned out Nazi military vehicles, with 46,000 military trucks produced in 1944 alone. Hitler himself used a custom-built Mercedes-Benz 770K, featuring bulletproof glass and armor plating. Post-war investigations revealed that 40,000 forced laborers had worked for Mercedes-Benz during the war years, with mortality rates in their work camps reaching as high as 25%. This dark chapter would haunt the company's history forever. (1945) left Mercedes-Benz in shambles. 85% of their factories were destroyed, their overseas assets were seized, and their reputation was in tatters. The company's first post-war production in 1946? Just 214 vehicles, mostly pieced together from salvaged parts. Compare that to their pre-war peak of 41,000 vehicles in 1937. But Mercedes engineered one of the most remarkable comebacks in business history. By 1954, barely 9 years after nearly being wiped out, they shocked the world with the legendary 300 SL Gullwing, the first production car with fuel injection and those iconic upward opening doors. Priced at $11,000, equivalent to $108,000 today, it became an instant status symbol. Today, Mercedes-Benz dominates the luxury car market with staggering numbers. Annual revenue exceeds $150 billion, with operations in 170 countries. Their most expensive modern vehicle, the Mercedes-AMG 1, costs $2.7 million and sells out before production. Their F1 racing team has won 8 consecutive Constructors' Championships, 2014-2021, the longest winning streak in F1 history. From Carl Benz's first puttering three-wheeler to pioneering electric vehicles and self-driving cars, Mercedes-Benz hasn't just survived. They've defined automotive luxury for nearly 140 years. The poor boy's dream of a horseless carriage became the very standard by which all other luxury cars are judged. And that's the fascinating story of Mercedes-Benz. If you enjoyed diving into the legacy of this iconic automaker, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you won't miss our next deep dive into the stories behind the world's most legendary car brands. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.